CD Projekt Red is back in the news for making some incredibly stupid and uninformed decisions, and as such, everything that is attached to the development studios, specifically the IPs that made them a famous developer, The Witcher, getting dragged and caught up in its wake. But I want to make the differentiation here off-rip before we get back to what CDPR proper is doing, because there is a Witcher game that is on the horizon. No, I'm not talking 6 or anything like, or I'm sorry, 4, getting ahead of myself, thinking about Elder Scrolls. Bethesda, CDPR, they're all caught in the same ideological spiral. But The Witcher remake, okay, the first game's remake is being handled by the people that made the franchise great to begin with. The games, and not talking about Andrei Sapkowski's hack job of Michael Moorcock's Elric series, but no. The developers at CD Projekt Red that worked on the first, second, and third Witcher games went out and they formed their own studios, and they're the ones working on this remake. And yeah, the catchy headline that the dev pledges to remove the parts that are simply bad, and I think we know what's first on the chopping block, like the outdated controls and the clunky mechanics of the first one, maybe smoothing those jagged edges. Maybe that's what it is, but no. Oh, it's gonna be woke, guys. The Witcher Remake Studio says it plans to remove the parts of the original game that are simply bad, outdated, or unnecessarily convoluted. The Witcher Remake was announced in October of 2022 and has been developed by Fool's Theory, studio of CDPR veterans. Veterans include CEO Jacob Rakozitz, who worked on Witcher 2 and 3. Speaking to Edge, however, Jakub, they're Polish after all, expresses his disappointment that he never got to work on the first game in Geralt's trilogy. It's always bothered me that I missed the first. I wanted the chance to give it the justice it deserves. And yeah, the first one, it's definitely clunky. Like, you can get it on GOG, you can get it, through a different means and stuff. It's just kind of difficult to play, mostly because the UI's kind of trash and the controls are garbage. And when we talked about this, because this article, it started out at the beginning of the year, and that's why I did a video on this, saying that, you know what, there's hope out there, because it's not being worked on by modern CDPR. It's being worked on by the people that made the first three games great to begin with, and they seem to be dedicated to that cause. You can go ahead and misconstrue and bad faith removing the simply bad aspects and then just casting that through the modern studio lens and coming to the conclusion that, they're going to cover up all the women, they're going to make them all flat-chested, they're going to make them all look like Netflix Lara Croft. It's like, nah, not quite. You got to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. Kind of like with Ghost of Yote. If Sucker Punch screws that up, if we see a little bit more of that stuff, especially at the Game Awards at the end of this year, and it looks like Girl Boss trash, I'm going to be calling that out along with everybody else. I'm just willing to give these studios the benefit of the doubt because they haven't given you the reason to doubt them to begin with, as opposed to what CDPR is out here doing, just being absolutely spurgtastic. That's about the best way that I can put this. But CD Projekt Red CEO Michael Nowakowski, okay, at least he's got an easily pronounceable consonant heavy last name, okay? Because if you're going to do that, just do that on a Polish sense. He claims the company hires based on merit, despite the company's website claiming they embrace equitable practices and having scholarship programs that exclude men, offering menstrual leave to all of their female employees, doing ESG hostage videos, and all of those diversity and equity and inclusion practices being baked into the DNA of the development studio. But no, we're great. Shut up. Stop calling us out. CD Projekt Red CEO Michael Nowakowski claimed that his company hires based on merit, despite, evidence to the contrary. Nowakowski's comments come in response to a video from Endymion. Interesting how much, I've made my opinions on Endymion. I think he's a bit of a blowhard, but you know what, all in all, he's been disrupting the industry, and it's really making waves, especially with his Ubisoft Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I think it's mostly the Assassin's Creed stuff. But now that he's elicited a response from CD Projekt Red, he's doing some good stuff out there, so shout out. Where he alleged that a source informed him that CD Projekt Red is in absolute chaos right now based on who is actually still working there, and that used to work there on the previous games. Yeah, exactly, because CD Projekt Red hired some simp. They hired some SBI simp, some Sweet Baby Inc. simp, who used to work at Insomniac on likes of Spider-Man 2, and also had a hand in that awful-looking Wolverine game. Yeah, Yeah, I think that's right. And she's apparently working potentially on Witcher 4, but more than likely a follow-up to Cyberpunk. Ooh, buddy, he added. Apparently, it's a lot of senior talent has left CD Projekt Red, went over to Fool's Gold. That's why I read you part of that article. For example, the director of Witcher 3 has long left the studio. They already created their own studios with the new game as well, apparently. Places like Warhorse Studios, the makers of Kingdom Come Deliverance. Yeah, man, and they have a based-looking sequel of that coming out here in very short order as well. That one might end up being a sleeper hit of the year. So they have actually been poaching talent from CD Projekt Red like crazy these past few years. Yo, good for them. Because CD Projekt Red has been a sinking ship for quite a long time. But yeah, if you follow this, if you follow this article through the link that I'll have in the description for it, you can see the other article that's right there, Sweet Baby Ink Defender, who says every lever must be pulled to push a big gay agenda, announces that she joined CD Projekt Red. Yeah, we talked about that earlier this year. He also noted, okay, this is Endymion, back to him. I was told that programs that are plaguing Ubisoft, like diversity hires, are also starting to damage and ruin CD Projekt Red as well. Well, I mean, like, if there's a company that actually has worse and more woke policies than Ubisoft, it might be CD Projekt Red. According to that other source, CD Projekt has begun to rely heavily on outsourcing to contractors to help with their games because the new talent that they have is nowhere near where they need them to be right now. Yeah, exactly. They're too busy, taking time off or thinking that it's racist to work that hard. That's kind of the problem that we're seeing with the entire industry where, there's way too much money being pumped into this, so you can't take any chances because this needs to be a success, so you're getting too big to fail. And that all these DEI hires are creating so much bloat, where you have so many middle managers, so many consultants that are on this, people that don't generally have any sort of talent to contribute to a project, but they need to be paid. Otherwise, they'll have somebody write a hit piece on you about how your studio's racist, sexist, and in need of reform. I was told the reason why the next Witcher is using Unreal Engine instead of the Red Engine the previous games did is largely because most of their senior talent that worked and understood the Red Engine are not at CD anymore, and Unreal is more of the one-size-fits-all engine that many devs are familiar with these days. And that's also wild because I would imagine these game developers, colleges, all of those programs, which I've derided because I think the industrialization of creativity has led to the downfall and the overall drop in quality of entertainment. This is just another one of those examples because you're seeing like the Unreal Engine 5 take over on a lot of different projects, okay? Like my baby from this year, okay, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, yeah, it's using a modified version of Unreal Engine 4. That's mostly because the Crystals engine that they developed for the Fabula Novella Crystallis compilation of Final Fantasy 13 games, that engine was trash. It was always garbage. And they managed to work it somehow into some sort of a Frankenstein engine for Final Fantasy 16, but that led to such a belabored process to get a PC port up and running that, yeah, Square Enix realized that it's probably going to be way too costly. Try to salvage that busted project, and yeah, we'll just go with Unreal Engine. That was, I would imagine, right, because as we figured out earlier this year, there's a lot of monetary issues with Square Enix, so that makes sense over there. But the Red Engine, like, that was top of the charts back when it was getting developed, and you got Bethesda over here, working on something that comes out of the late 90s, but the Red Engine still looks great. Okay. Cyberpunk 2077 was a disaster for a multitude of reasons, but it had very little to do with the engine. It had mostly to do with the programming, which is what you're likely to end up getting with, Witcher 4 if it was using the Red Engine, which would just be astronomically worse because it's a few years older and you would have less talented people on it. But of course, they're all getting trained, more than likely, on the Unreal Engine at all of these college courses, pumping out more activists than actual developers willing to understand and utilize specialized tools for the games that these studios are making. Because I've said it before in a bunch of different games, like UE4 and especially UE5 aren't very good. Rebirth withstanding on making big open world games. Like the only real graphically impressive and well-performing game that's using UE5 right now is Tekken 8. And if they're going to be making Witcher 4, if they're going to be making the next Halo game on Unreal 5, I don't know, man. Capcom's got their own in-house engine with the Resident Evil engine, and they've used it for a lot of their IPs, and they look great. I think even Street Fighter's running in that. And of course, the recent Dead Rising Deluxe Remake, which I don't know how well that sold, but outside of a couple of weird explosions and some glass physics. Looks like a pretty damn good game. Looks like a good game. Can't really say anything about gameplay or anything like that, but there's nothing inherently wrong with using a reliable engine from Unreal, but when you have such a great engine like the Red engine, bro, that says a lot. That says a lot. And Dimion then reiterated, as I'm told, CD Projekt Red right now is in a very tough spot, that they're apparently hoping that their pedigree is going to carry these games to millions in sales. And yeah, that's where Ubisoft was a few years ago. That's where Bethesda was prior to them releasing Starfield. See a problem? In response to the video, Nowakowski posted on X, seems like we live in times where anyone can record complete nonsense and make a story out of it. CDPR talent leaving. We have the lowest rotation of people in recent years. Well, here's the thing. You haven't really made anything in recent years outside of the fix that Cyberpunk 2077, but yeah, maybe you're developing a bunch of stuff, but that's not exactly the own you think it is. Oh yeah, well, all of our talent left years ago, but they haven't been leaving lately. Okay. He continued, DEI-driven recruitment. We hire based on merit and talent alone. Yeah, explain your most recent public hiring. Just as we make games driven by artistic vision alone. Bro, stop. Your most recent big release was Cyberpunk 2077. You can't say that was driven by artistic talent, and if it was, that's quite an indictment on your studio. Next, he addressed why the company chose Unreal. Why did we choose Unreal Engine? Because it enables us to work on our games more efficiently, and we remain cutting edge tech-wise. Not really, but okay. I then admitted that Konrad Tomaszewski, sure, the director of Witcher 3 did leave the company. Witcher 3 director left, well, yeah, more than 2 years ago. Yeah, see, that's the thing, man. Yeah, see, none of our good talent left recently. They left years ago. Now, can we stop looking for conspiracy theories and go back to making cool stuff? You should probably tell that to the person in the mirror, Michael. Regarding top talent leaving CD Projekt Red, Reddit user, whatever, extracted a ton of information from a Legacy Killer HD video that detailed that at least 11 directors and department leads left CD Projekt Red back in 2011 following the release of Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, no, exactly. Hey, we have one of the lowest turnover rates in recent years. Okay. Talent included studio head and executive producer John Mimas. Okay. Witcher 3 game director, yes, Tomakevitz. Witcher 3 quest director Mateusz Tomakevitz, brothers. Okay. Cinematic director Powell. I'm not even going to begin to know how to pronounce that one. Head of production, Peter Yup. Principal engineer programmer. Oh, principal engine programmer. Gee, I wonder why they switched over to Unreal. Mr. Torek. Okay, lead animator, Jamie Burry. Got that one. Creative director, Sebastian Stipin. Oh, we're on a run. Senior producer, Domika Combo Breaker. Engine director, yes, another Thomas. And art director, that lady. I mean, how can you say? How can you make any of those claims there, Michael? How can you make those claims, Michael, where you don't have any, our turnover rate is the best in the industry? Yeah, because everybody left. All of the people that made The Witcher 3 great are out the door. You are left with the scraps. You are left with the activists of the industry, and you're trying to drum up hype for a game that you haven't even announced. There's been leaks that, yeah, we're working on Witcher 4, maybe potentially. Yeah, we're working on a follow-up to Cyberpunk. Yeah, there's other things in development, but as a studio, what do people have to look forward to? There was a point in time, man, and I say this when we're talking about the likes of Dragon Age the Veilguard, where BioWare was on top of the world in the late 2000s, early 2010s. CD Projekt Red was right there with The Witcher 2 and Witcher 3. But now you take a look, 10 years on, and all of these studios are a shell of their former selves. BioWare is on the cusp. They might not make 2025. Same with Ubisoft. 10 years ago, with the smash hit success of the Ezio trilogy for Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, making the first person open world action adventure game as popular as it did. Now look at them. Now look at all of these companies. Disasters, each and every one of them, with the hype man up at the top realizing that everybody can see that the Emperor no longer has clothes. And instead of focusing on making a great follow-up product, instead of dissuading anybody's reservations they might have with your new games, you're out there beefing with a YouTuber. Looks pretty pathetic, bro, but maybe not as pathetic as your next release. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.